This morning, former Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro and his wife are back in a Brooklyn detention center awaiting their next court date.
Scripps News Group's Joe St. George joins us live from Washington this morning. Joe, what happened in court yesterday and what happens now for Venezuela?
Well, Maduro and his wife pled not guilty to the narco-terrorism charges. The former leader of Venezuela, de facto leader of Venezuela, claimed that he had been kidnapped by the U.S. and by the administration. That's clearly going to be part of his defense here. I think now a lot of the focus shifts to Venezuela, the country itself, the rebuilding of Venezuela. And we learned more from President Trump yesterday in an interview with NBC News about his vision and timeline for rebuilding. Who's going to pay for rebuilding Venezuela? The president said that it may take fewer than 18 months, a year and a half or so, to get Venezuela up and running. That's really the first timeline of that degree that we've heard from the president. Additionally, he continues to believe that American oil companies, energy companies, will pay, at least initially, the cost of rebuilding much of Venezuela, rebuilding the energy sector, at least in Venezuela, and in turn rebuilding the Venezuelan economy. He may have a hiccup on that front. We'll get to that in a moment. But the president's saying, and I'm just going to quote the president now, quote, "A tremendous amount of money will have to be spent, and the oil companies will spend it, and then they'll get reimbursed by us or through revenue." Now, that last phrase, reimbursed by us, likely means the American taxpayer. That means likely a congressional component to all of this. Now, here's where the potential hiccup for President Trump rests. So far, it's not as if American energy companies and American oil executives are lining up at the door eager to get back into Venezuela. As ExxonMobil CEO told Bloomberg back in November, there's still a little bit of a fatigue from what happened decades ago. Remember, American energy companies were already in Venezuela decades ago, and then the government essentially changed hands. They nationalized the industry. American oil companies were out billions of dollars. There's a concern that what happens if the current Venezuelan government falls in 6 months' time or looks completely different in 1 year's time. That's the concern and the challenge for the Trump administration to recruit, essentially, American oil companies to get back into Venezuela. We will be watching that part of the story, as is the case in life, guys. Following the money is going to be a very important part of what happens next for Venezuela.